some of the first days of coming up with CTS, it made us look back at the technology that we used to use that we thought was so great. So when I started in '94, cell phones, a few people had them, but there was no reason to have a cell phone. They were the big old nice brick cell phones. So we get going along, and I got my first cell phone. That was pretty cool. I was like one of the only ones in my group that had a cell phone, and I tell you what, you didn't use that thing unless it was an absolute emergency. But the cool thing we had is the Motorola Cop Phones, not the Nextel, but just the two-way communication Cop Phones, which was so much better than the roll of quarters. I'd have a cell phone, but I'd still stop on the side of the street and use a payphone, because the cell phone was like $3.99 a minute if you went over the 25-minute package you bought for $100. So it was when you was out of town in an emergency, you had your roll of quarters for any questions that you might have, and then when we got them Motorola's, we didn't have to stop and use payphones anymore, and that just doubled our efficiency overnight. Being able to say, hey, I need to switch something up, change loads, go over here, get a different load of gravel and deliver to a customer on the way home, made our productivity really come up. So that was a really big change in technology that happened. And then we progressed and we got onto the Motorola cell phone, started to get a little more affordable, would be the best way to put it. And Nextel come out with the Nextel walkie-talkies. And that used to be fun because everybody had them, and you'd beep your buddy, especially when you knew he was, in a line, trying to buy something with his wife. You could start making all sorts of rude, ignorant comments to him and, make him feel real uncomfortable because everybody heard what was talking about on that. Kind of progressed up to where everybody, before smartphones, started texting a lot, and that worked really good. But the problem with texting is it got so confusing. You couldn't, you send a text, but it was 50,000 texts later. You couldn't find it, and so it just the chaos of texting got back to where you started going backwards again and writing things down, and it just got really complicated to try to keep track. If you're just dealing with one or two people, it'd be great. But when you started working with a group and a crew, it got really, really confusing fast. So using the technology that come up with smartphones, with being able to get pin drops and all the emails at your fingertips, we're able to now use technology to our benefit, that now when we send a guy out, we don't have to worry about having a piece of paper that he writes his time on. He can simply push a button. When he shows up to work, he don't have to worry about writing down the information that you said and making sure he gets the address correct, or trying to read an email. He can have everything in one spot off his phone, so when he shows up to work, he can actually work.